It's been almost exactly a year since the used and new car market went absolutely insane. And it's been almost a year since we saw nearly a 40 to 50% appreciation rate on basically every single make and model out there, or at least every single common make and model. That means that it has been incredibly difficult over the last 6 months to a year for any average person to buy a car at an even remotely good price. But I have some good news, because there is some evidence here to suggest that the used and new car market might be slowing down, at least a little bit. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the current state of the used and new car market. I'm going to be talking about what the current stats and projections are at the car market. And of course, I'm going to give you some of my best tips and tricks on how you can buy a car despite what is currently going on with used car prices. So let's get started. Now, if you guys are familiar with this channel, you've probably seen a lot of my videos very similar to this. In fact, over the last 6 months, I've been doing monthly updates on the state of the new and used car market and what you can expect to see in the next 60 to 90 days. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. But for the first time ever, I have actually seen some decent, or at least decent as of today, decreases in the market in a way in which we've never seen in previous reports that I've done. This could be for a few different reasons, but I think it is good news nonetheless. Now, before we dig into the data and before we dig into the juiciness of this video, if you guys could do me a huge favor and if you could hit the like button and hit the notification bell for the YouTube algorithm, I would greatly appreciate it. This helps my channel grow because it helps that YouTube know that you guys are enjoying my content, and thus they push my content out to a new audience. Also, if you guys are interested in starting your own car sharing fleet, I do have a car sharing masterclass, which is an online course that teaches you how to start a Turo business with the same business model I use. If you use the code January, you can get $25 off that course. The link will be down in the description below. Now, if you rewind time to this time last year, you will hear and see a lot of discussions revolving around a chip shortage. This was a semiconductor chip shortage that started really happening around January of 2021. And at the time, experts were worried that this chip shortage was going to cause a ton of issues, mainly in the automotive industry. You see, almost every single car, if not every single car on the road, has to have a semiconductor chip in the car in order to have the car function properly. Without this semiconductor chip, cars just simply can't be sold, they can't be operated, and thus there is this bottlenecking issue that this semiconductor chip could cause. Well, all of these expert fears ended up coming to fruition last year because there was a semiconductor chip shortage. In fact, it was significantly worse than originally thought. It did affect the automotive industry. In fact, it affected dozens of different industries between automotive, electronics, and so much more. And additionally, experts originally thought that this chip shortage could potentially be sorted by January 2022, and now experts are saying it may not be completely sorted until January 2023, if not January of 2024. So I think it's safe to say that things have been a bit bleak in the automotive industry. In fact, there are still some bleakness to be had. For example, Toyota recently announced that they would not be hitting their year-end goal for manufacturing, and the only way they would be able to do it is if they manufactured 1 million cars in March, which isn't going to happen. Additionally, Ford is seeing so many dealerships and so many scalpers buying their cars and then selling them at an incredibly premium price that they put a no scalping or no resale provision in their new Ford Lightning contract. So essentially, whenever you buy a new Ford F-150 Lightning, you have to sign in there saying that you will not resell that car within a certain period of time. And dealerships have been told that if they don't start selling their cars at true MSRP price, they will stop getting allocations on the new vehicles that are coming out. It really is a crazy scenario, and auto manufacturers are doing everything in their power to try to combat this as best as possible. But the good news is that I do think that there is finally a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and that comes with some data that I found this week. Now, if we turn to my screen here, you can see the Cargurus Car Value or Car Price Trend Index. Now, this is something that I really love. I think it is such a cool resource to use. I will link this down in the description below. It's completely free. And you can see here that there is a graph showing what the price trends have been of vehicles since July of 2021 until present day, January 2022. And you can see here that there has been pretty much steady increases over the last 6 months. And there's like this insane spike, which we talked about in the previous video I made on the subject. And then you can see that things have kind of started leveling off. Now, this graph here shows Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Jeep, and then just the overall index, which is basically Cargurus' entire database averaged together. But if you scroll down, you can see some of this information in a little bit greater detail, and you can also see it in number and percentage form, which I personally prefer. So you can see that there is the average price, there's the last 30 days, last 90 days, and then year to date. And if we scroll through the year-to-date column, I mean, you just see so many cars have such insane increases. You see crossovers have a 33.25% appreciation, vans have a 58%, hatchbacks have a 38%, minivans have a 40%. And then you can even scroll down to makes and you can see the same trends continue. Chevy has a 36% appreciation. Buick has a 29%, Cadillac 37%. You keep scrolling down and Kia has a 49% appreciation, which is just insane. Who is paying 49% above market value for a Kia? It just blows my mind. But the data that I really want to focus on in this video isn't the year-to-date data, because we've talked about that a lot on this channel. It is instead the 30-day data. So this is how prices have flowed in the last 30 days. And I'm going to tell you that I've been watching this data really closely for about 6 or 7 months. I've been watching it on a near daily basis. And this is the first time that I've seen more than a couple cars that are in the red for the last 30 days. So we scroll down and you can see that the coupe is down 0.02% in the last 30 days. That's just the body style, which is negligible. That's a very small amount. But if we continue to scroll down, you can see that there are actually a handful of cars that are in the red. First one is Ferrari, which is down 0.11%. So anybody that is in the market for a Ferrari, maybe now is the time to finally do it, because it is finally in the red. But Ferrari isn't what we talk about on this channel, so let's continue scrolling. And you can see here that Lexus is down 1.34%. I was really surprised to see this because, as you guys know, Lexus is basically a Toyota product and typically they hold their value really well. I'm not to say that it depreciating 1.3% is a huge deal or that it's any sign to the quality of Lexus, but what I am saying is that it potentially is a sign to more trends and more makes and models to follow. So I thought that that was incredibly interesting. And then if you continue scrolling down further, you can see that Porsche also decreased, Rolls-Royce also decreased, and the one that I was most surprised about was Tesla, which decreased by 2.1%, which is the most substantial 30-day decrease that I have seen in months. Now, I don't necessarily think it's a big deal for Tesla that they're in the red by 2%. I don't think it's a big deal for Ferrari or Porsche either. Now, I do want to note that I don't think that this is a huge deal. I don't think that this is a sign that you should go out and buy your dream Tesla tomorrow. But what I do think that this tells us is that maybe the market is finally slowing down. I've been watching this index for 6-7 months, and I've never seen more than 1 or 2 cars that are in the red at any given time. So for us to have 6 different vehicles in the red today in January of 2022, I think that it's definitely promising. But even the cars that are in the green are not in the green substantially. Like, there are a handful that are in the green by 2-3%, but the vast majority are in the green by less than 1%. For example, Bentley, for example, Chevy. We have Dodge that's just over 1%, Fiat just over 1%, Ford 0.85%. There are a lot of different examples of vehicles that have been appreciating by 2-3% per month that are now seem like they're slowing down. Now, the Cargurus Car Value Index is kind of one index that you can look at. I like it because I've been keeping an eye on it for so long, and I think it's really easy to understand and customizable to what you want to keep track of. But there are 2 other pieces of data that I want to look at in this video. The first one is a market study by IHS Markit, and this was an automotive survey study that was done showing how production and car sales compared in 2021 versus previous years. If we look at this market study, which I will link down in the description below, you can see that North American automotive production was at an all-time low since the global financial crisis. And you can see that this study really cites the fact that not only was the semiconductor chip an issue, but also labor shortages as well as the pandemic as a whole. All of these things contributed to the fact that vehicles just simply were not able to be produced at the same rate that they were previously. Additionally, in 2019, the average cost for a new car in the United States was $36,718. But in December of 2021, the average cost for a new car was $47,000. According to Cars.com, the average used car listed on the platform in 2019 was $17,493, but in December of 2021, the average price for a used car on the platform was $25,242. Now, ultimately, what I'm trying to get at here is the fact that over the last 6 months to a year, we have been sitting in a near worst case scenario. New cars have gone up in price by about 20 to 25%. Used cars have appreciated in some cases 50%, and vehicle production is at its lowest that it's been at in over a decade. You guys have probably heard of the term that you have to hit rock bottom before you can go back to the top, and I personally believe that 2021 was our rock bottom. You see, 2021 was basically the perfect storm for used car prices to skyrocket. Between labor issues, the semiconductor issues, the pandemic, manufacturing problems, and so much more, it created the perfect storm that allowed for used car prices to appreciate by 40%. But the reality is that cannot continue forever, and many experts believe that prices will begin to fall. And in some cases, experts think that prices could fall anywhere between 20 to 40% by October of 2022. For example, if we look at an article published by Cars.com, which breaks down a sighting forecast done by a consulting firm called KPMG, you can see that it says a dip in used car prices might arrive ahead of market stabilization in late 2022. Once that happens, used car prices could drop 20 to 30% prior to supply and demand reaching a balance between October of 2022 and October of 2023. Then the report goes on to say that full stabilization in the industry is still 6 to 12 months away. The article then goes on to say that this could be perfect for people that are wanting to buy a car, but could potentially be detrimental for those that have bought cars at inflated prices, and thus this market stabilization could leave them underwater with their new vehicle. Now, ultimately, what I'm trying to get at here is the fact that I do believe that 2021 was our rock bottom, and I do believe that things will improve dramatically in 2022. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out and buy a car tomorrow, but I do think that you should start doing your research on which car you want to buy, because I do think that Q3 or Q4 in 2022 could be a really good time to buy a car, which is only 6 months away. Like always, my number one piece of advice when it comes to buying cars in this market is to do your research. Do research on what is a good deal, know exactly what you're buying, and know exactly what you should expect to pay for that car. You should know at a glance whether a car is a good deal or a bad deal, and you should know exactly what to expect. This is super easy to do and typically comes with just paying attention to used car prices on a daily or weekly basis. And as long as you do your research, you'll be setting yourself up for success. That way you won't find yourself underwater with a vehicle purchase in 2022. Now, I've been really fascinated with the used car market over the last 6 months, and I know I personally really enjoy making these videos because I think they're informative and I think they're really interesting, to be honest. So if you guys would like to continue seeing these on a month-by-month basis, let me know and I can continue doing these as the market shifts and as we hopefully head into a buyer's market later on this year. But like always, you guys, if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.